What's going on, guys? It is Jaden and welcome back to the video. So I wanted to talk about the mistakes I made dropshipping, and I think it's really easy to make so many mistakes dropshipping. And after the few years that I've now been dropshipping and been in online business, there's things that I didn't know in my first year, my second year. There's things, that I even learned this year. There's so much that is always evolving too. And platforms like Amazon, Shopify, eBay, any platforms that you're dropshipping on, WooCommerce, anything, what will happen is they start updating a lot of the time and you're starting to get out of date, and so you have to start improving. And I noticed that start happening a lot in the last couple of years, that Shopify changed a lot and a lot of people started moving over to the Amazon side. And not a lot of people actually talk about eBay, which I find really interesting because of how high the margins can be. But there's so many people that aren't doing Amazon and eBay, but a lot of people staying with Shopify. But I've noticed that finally start to shift. Okay, I think one of the biggest mistakes I made when I first started, number one, this has to be, instead of building a brand and paying for advertisements on Shopify and me trying so hard to build these beautiful websites. I remember one of them, it was actually a baby store. It was around baby products. It was targeted to mothers when I was running Facebook ads. This was like my first month running Facebook ads, and what happened was it wasn't a very successful store. We didn't really make any money. Very few sales were made on the store. But what we did notice was we finally started learning our Facebook ads at that time. And at this time, this was when I was just first running ads, and I was preferably on Shopify. I didn't even know what Amazon or eBay dropshipping was. I was just dropshipping on Amazon, or I was just dropshipping on Shopify. And what I noticed was I had to pay advertisements to make any sales. Like, there was no one coming to my website. It was my custom website. I did take time to build it, and I actually did have a foot in graphic design. I've done graphic design actually freelance for several companies, so I thought, I'll be good at this. I'll be able to make beautiful websites. So I made a beautiful website, but I was shit at ads. And so I wasn't very good at the advertisements. I ran some ads. We made some sales. But at that time, I thought you can only make money if you're running ads, which I then found out was not true when I started Amazon. And what I mean by that is, with Amazon and eBay, you just put items up there. You can put 200 winner products up on Amazon or eBay. You don't have to spend any money to list them. You just pay like $40 a month just to have your account. You don't really spend any money to list these items. You just put them up there. You don't have to pay to advertise them. eBay and Amazon will just advertise them to their customers for you. If people look up Broom, you're gonna come up and people will be able to find you. And so later, when I started doing Amazon, I realized it was a lot easier to make sales without spending any money on advertisement. Where at first, I thought I can only make money running Facebook or Instagram or Google or Snapchat ads. But then I realized, wait, have I been spending my money on advertisements this whole entire time when I could have just put up all the things I thought were winner products on Amazon or eBay and just see if they make sales? Now, then I started doing that once I learned about Amazon, and then I got into eBay and realized it was a lot easier to make money with actual good margins, not Chinese shipping times, just US, good margins, didn't have to pay advertisements for sales. And so that started working a lot better for me. And I think that was one of my biggest mistakes when I started, was forking tens of thousands of dollars into advertisements. I was building out so many stores and I was trying so hard. I was watching like Tanner Plains and Hayden Bowles at the time. And I remember just forking all of my money. I had a little bit of a savings, and I remember talking to my mom in high school and being like, I have to use a lot of this. Like, I'm starting businesses, but I actually didn't know jack shit at the time, and ended up spending tons of my money, several thousands of dollars, just trying advertisements, and didn't really see a lot come back from that. And then when I started Amazon, I put up like 14 products and made 2 sales in like my first 24 to 48 hours. Was like, oh my God, like, it's so much easier here. And so that was a huge mistake for me, and I kind of wish if I could go back, I would have just spent my time doing Amazon and eBay, because then it would have been more guaranteed sales and not having to spend so much time learning the advertising. Number 2 is stealing product pictures or just stealing ideas. And what I mean by that is, because I used to do a lot of Shopify, what I mean by like stealing product pictures or ideas is like, you see a beautiful product and you just borrow the picture of whoever posted it. So you see a company killing it and they have like an LED flashlight or a moon lamp or whatever, a foot orthotic, anything. And you see them and you're like, you always have that moment where you see a company or a brand when you're an entrepreneur and you're like, I want to do that. Like, I know that is making a lot of money and I know I could maybe kill that. Like, I maybe could really do really good there. But when you just copy ideas directly instead of innovating it and making it your own, that's something I had to learn down the road, is making things custom, making things unique, taking your own pictures, building beautiful custom websites, having custom touches, adding things, making it a bundle. Making it custom does make it a lot better. And I had a time where I was listing jewelry, and there was this big brand called Shop Gold, and they were working with people like Wiz Khalifa and Snoop Dogg, and I was like, wow, this brand is beautiful. I know I could blow up a store like this. This is when I started finally getting better at Facebook ads and was like, okay, I know I'm confident enough that I could probably profit on a store like this, so let's just do it. I built out the whole jewelry store. I actually got Shop Gold's original supplier for their plated jewelry, and I was chatting with them, and they were giving me amazing deals, and there was this huge margin on it. And I built a really beautiful website, and one thing I did was a couple of the pictures I had to borrow from Shop Gold, because I couldn't find any of my own of these items. And I found some royalty-free jewelry ones that were just like mine, and I borrowed those ones, but then I borrowed a couple of the Shop Gold ones, and I posted them on my store, on my website, and I just left them there for a couple of days. And then I remember getting this email to the shop's email. We made a gmail.com for it, and it was at the bottom of the website. And I remember getting an email from the owners of Shop Gold saying, we are getting ready to send a cease and desist letter to your business location if you do not take down our photos in the next 48 to 72 hours. And I remember that was my first moment in business where I had stepped on somebody's toes and I had done something wrong and was like, oh no, I shouldn't have used these pictures. And every time after that, I just started taking my own pictures. I bought a camera and started taking my own pictures. But I never knew if you copied pictures, people will become very upset, and that if you just take people's ideas, you're just ripping them off. You're not giving them any credit, and it's a really nasty idea. Don't steal product pictures. It was a really stupid thing, and it was one of those things where you kind of just start, and it's easy to do that, but the grass is always greener on the other side if you just put in the custom work. People that take custom pictures, you can make them just as nice. Maybe my company wasn't working with Wiz Khalifa and Snoop Dogg and them like they were, but my website and my advertisement I was very confident about. It was just these pictures. And so that was one of the little mistakes I had made in my first couple, 4, 5, 6, 8 months drop shipping. I remember doing that and remember feeling so stupid and was like, I can never do this again. So number 3, a huge mistake I've made while dropshipping is becoming married to a specific business model or product. And being married to something isn't a horrible thing. It just means that you are very emotionally attached to it and you want to see it work and you want to see it go through. But what I do see with some people is they're spending so much money on Shopify, or they're spending so much money on a product that's not working, or advertisements they can't do, or creating beautiful websites, getting hyped about it, but they have no knowledge of advertising. They got married to it, but they didn't actually know how to do any of the things it takes in business, and they launch it and they have no idea how to actually make money. They built the store, they had the idea, it was all fun and games until you actually have to advertise and make more profit than you're spending. And a lot of these people will become very married to these products and they'll get really addicted to just wanting to make that specific business or product work. I see this a lot with Shopify people. I'll tell Shopify people all the time, like, hey, I struggled with Shopify for months, but in my first month on Amazon, I was successful. Actually, within my first week on Amazon, I was profitable and successful. So I would tell people, like, you don't have to spend money to list products there. Like, you don't have to do advertising, but then people be like, I have to learn advertising. I have to do this. And before you know it, some of these guys will spend like $3,000 or $4,000 into Facebook ads because that's what all these gurus are talking about and telling you test with Facebook ads. But what a lot of people aren't realizing is it can take several thousands to tens of thousands of dollars to learn how to profitably do Facebook ads. And I think a lot of these gurus aren't actually saying this, but a lot of these gurus are not doing their own Facebook ads. And a lot of these guys have teams that have been doing Facebook ads for 5 to 7 to 8+ years who are very experienced in creating profit. And a lot of these guys are very well connected and just use their teams, but are saying they do their own Facebook ads. And I think that's where a huge misconception comes in with people trying to master Facebook ads. I don't think people are realizing how much data Facebook has and how deep you have to dig to really become profitable and successful. has systems and it will be profitable, but it isn't always easy. And so I think a lot of these people are thinking like, I have to learn this, I have to spend my money to do it myself, when other people are spending half the amount to pay other people to do it and are making double than these people who are losing money, yet these other guys are spending way less and making way more. So I see people getting way married to these kind of things where they could be doing better in other areas, or outsourcing, or doing Amazon or eBay when you don't have to pay for advertising, and kind of doing things that will work easier, but they get so married to what they're doing that they don't want to move on. And I've had several experiences like that. I've gotten very married to websites that I put like 70 hours into designing and put hundreds and hundreds of dollars, thousands of dollars into the websites and the designs and animations and custom parts of the websites. And then the websites never converted like I wanted them to, but I didn't want to drop them. But it does come down to a point at some point where something is not right for you and you could be making more money elsewhere. And sometimes you have to realize that the hard way, and that's why business can take a couple of years sometimes for people to become successful. So number 4, another huge thing I'm seeing that other people are making mistakes on, but specifically a mistake that I made was I didn't network enough when I first started. I didn't reach out to mentors. I didn't reach out to people that were better at it than me. I was in like my own little ego in my zone of like, I will figure it out. I don't need anybody. And I had one bad experience with a mentor, and so what ended up happening was like, I don't want to pay for a mentor again, so I was like, I have to figure this out alone. I have to get Facebook ads down, like I have to convert all these stores, like I have to do this and this, and I felt like I had to do everything alone. But then what I realized was by not networking and by not taking the time to build up relationships in my first couple of months in business, it really did hurt me where I wasn't learning anything. I wasn't progressing. I was trying myself, testing, but I was failing because I wasn't talking to people that actually knew how to do it. If I would have had probably a couple of conversations, some DMs have totally changed my life. Some FaceTimes with people, some mentorships have totally changed my life and have made me tens of thousands of dollars, just a couple of DMs, a couple of calls, one piece of information. You ever have that where you just want to know that one little thing about business or one thing about Facebook ads or one thing about Amazon and you just can't reach out to somebody, or you're having a hard time finding that piece of information? That was me my first, couple of months to year, and I didn't know what to do. And it was so easy, like the answer's so obvious in hindsight, but it was all I really would have had to do was just reach out to people that were better than me. Maybe ask them, hey, can I, pay you $100 to $200? Hop on the phone with me and let's actually discuss. Because if you pay people, they'll want to talk to you, especially these business-minded people who are making thousands of dollars on the hour. They don't always have time, and that's not a mean thing. People like Casey Adams, people like Jet Set, people like, these big influencers, and think about if you ask Kim Kardashian, is she ever going to answer your DM? It's people that have influence and people that have hundreds of people reaching out and strong networks don't always have the time. So I just started, finally, when I realized this, was like, I need to learn from people that have done this, because there's things I can't figure out myself. There's things I knew I couldn't figure out myself. So I actually finally paid my mentor Sean, who is in Amazon, and I paid him $2,000. He ran his mentorship for $2,000 at the time, and I paid him $2,000. And I ended up learning some of the things I didn't know, and that filled me in on everything. And what ended up happening then is I was like, wow, like I should have been networking this whole time. And that wasn't the first time I networked, but that was the first time I had really gotten the full clarity from somebody that was making hundreds of thousands of dollars a month, and fully got to finally understand exactly what it was they were talking about and what they were actually doing behind the scenes. I was just like, I just want to know like how you're actually doing this behind the scenes. How is profit being made? And finally I was able to learn. And I've done it hundreds of times since now. If there's anything I want to know, I'll usually just reach out to the person that knows it and say, hey, can I hop on a call for $99 for the hour, $200 for an hour? Just see if I can bargain with them, see if I can get their attention, talk them up, be really respectful, compliment them on their accomplishments, and show you do value time. Because for me, like when I started and I was a lot smaller on Instagram and things, I would message people and be like, hey, can I, do this with you? But I had no credibility. I didn't know anybody. I do have a lot more credibility and know more people now, where it's easier to get connections made. but it was really hard at first. And I just recommend, if you are struggling with that, just reach out to people. If you send 100 DMs, at least one person will respond. So my fifth mistake in business, this was a big one for me. So when I first started Shopify, Amazon, eBay and things, I didn't really consider the fees. I didn't really think about that for some reason. I didn't realize these platforms took like 10 to 15% every sale you make, and I didn't realize that. And so I was selling a couple of thousands of dollars worth of inventory, and then the fees hit me, and I was still profitable after fees, but a lot less than I expected because I didn't minus out 13% or 15%, specifying which platform, but I didn't minus out the fees. And what ended up happening is I did lose a little bit of money. I was like, whoa, I need to bump up my margins, or I need to get these items for cheaper if these fees are hitting me like this. And what I ended up doing is just bumping up my margins, getting my items more ranked, getting my store bigger, getting more reviews so I'd rank a little more organically, paying for promotions to be above other people and things on Amazon and eBay. And finally, I started to be able to increase my margins, but my problem was at first I just didn't know these fees, these little hidden fees, and you don't always know that. Like, there's weird little things that will be in the terms of service and little rules you'll not know about business, and it gets really crazy sometimes. You just won't know what you don't know. You know, that's how I like to say it. It's you don't know what you don't know. And so you're only scratching the surface level, but then you start to realize like there's a deeper level to this kind of stuff, and you'll start tapping into that and start realizing like, oh crap, I'm actually losing a little bit of money when I don't have to. So those were 5 big mistakes I had made when I first started drop shipping, and I just feel like it's good to share this kind of stuff because there's probably people watching that just started drop shipping or have been drop shipping for a few months or a year or two, and it's always easier. What my mentor taught me was, don't always learn from your own mistakes. He was saying learn from your mistakes, but he said don't always learn from your own mistakes, but learn from mistakes that other people ahead of you have already made. And what he means by that is like, he was already making like $200,000 to $300,000 a month when I was talking to him. And so I was asking him like, what mistakes specifically did you make to get up to those numbers? And he broke that down for me, like, don't do this, make sure you're doing this. And so then it became a lot easier for me. But anyway, it has been Jaden. I hope this helped you out. If it did, please smash that like button, smash the subscribe button if you're new. I'll catch you in the next one.